Hello, everyone. Welcome to another one of our Appri.io webinars. Today we'll be talking about building a shopping app with payments.
And our plan is simple. We'll just go over an app that uses a PayPal API for payments. We use database for storing products and then server code for authentication. So it's kind of we're using a lot of elements together to build this app. So let's go ahead and look at it. All right, let's go ahead and open it. All right, we got the app. Let me just close the pages here. And we'll keep here. Well, no, one product. Here we go. Anyhow, so this is the first page. So what I'm going to do, I'll go over the app and how it works. And but first, let me run the app so you guys can see how it works. And let's launch it. I'm going to launch it without the frame because PayPal API, there are some security issues when you run the app inside the frame. So we want to launch it. So what I get here is just a list of products. And these are completely random products that you can buy. And so these are loaded from Appri.io database. All right. And so, for example, let's say you want to buy a selfie stick. All right. When you click, and then we are redirected to a PayPal. Now this is a test store. You can see right here, right? So this is a test site, and you can see it says sandbox here. But obviously this is great for testing and while you develop. But switching to live, you're gonna get the same stuff here. So right here I have you can see it says selfie stick and I have a price. Quantity is 1. Obviously you can buy more than 1 if you would like in your app, and you can of course have multiple products as well that you want to buy. And then from here, I'm sure you guys seen this before. I'm sure you guys use PayPal at some point to buy it. So this just looks like a standard PayPal. You can log in with PayPal account, right? Or you can actually here, you can continue with credit card as well, right? So, but let's go to PayPal and let's enter my user. So when you create a sandbox account, you get you can create an email. So that's the email that I use, and let me enter a password. And I'm going to log in. And basically it says, hey, let's review the information. You still see the order summary here. You see the address, payment method. So again, we're using PayPal balance, right? That's the amount. And then I'm going to click continue. You can also click back. You can cancel right here. And then it will go back to a page in my app. So when you set up the app, you want to set up a page if for some reason the customer cancels. Now, when I click continue, what's going to happen is that the payment is now approved, right? So PayPal received the confirmation, and basically I need to go back to my app and say something, hey, thank you, congratulations, something like that. Let's click continue. Right? We don't say thank you, congratulations, we just show the payment details. Now, test buyer, that's the name, and then we can see that the transaction was approved, and that's the amount. All right, so very simple. Obviously PayPal provides a lot of other features that you can use. For example, you can, I think, pre-approve for a purchase. You can do refunds, but you'll be using their API, and if once you sort of understand how this works, using any other APIs is pretty straightforward. So let's look at the app. Now, another thing I want to mention is that this app is actually based on a plugin that we recently published, and it's the PayPal API plugin. And let me show it to you. Let's go to database and let's open the Dev Center. And we can go here. And then if you scroll down, it says plugins, all right? And right here, you get a list of plugins, and this is the PayPal plugin. So this is the plugin that I've used as a base, right? I made some changes, I made some additions, but again, to get started, just import the plugin, their instructions on what needs to be done, and basically you'll have this app ready, and then you can make changes and so on. All right, but let's look at this app in more detail. So the first thing, going back to the database, is I have a database here. So let's open the database, and we're going to count to the credentials, but first products, right? Very simple. I have a name, right? I have a name, and then I have a price. It's very easy. If we need to add another product, we can do that. For example, what are we going to sell, Charlie? An iPad, maybe?
No, that's too
No.
hard. No. How about a puppet?
Puppet. And what's the price? What do you want to?
Make it $80.
$80.
It's a handcrafted puppet.
It is. Anyhow, so you can see, excuse me, you can add products very easily using the deprecated database. And then if I relaunch the app, we now have a puppet for $80. All right. So this is for the database. Now let's look at the app, right? So first of all, I created a model. I have a product, and it has a name and amount. Pretty straightforward. And then I also have a product list, right? Then right here, I have a product list and local storage. So I'm going to load the values from a database, and I'm going to store them in local storage. And then I have a selected product. That's when I click on an item, right? And then that's where I go to PayPal. So when I load the page, when I display the page, I invoke the service, I load the values from a database, and they're stored in local storage as a list. Right after that, sort of in the same operation, I take the data from local storage and I map it to the page, right? And if we go to data, show products, so this mapping right here, it takes the value from the service and we put it in local storage, and you can see storage is selected here. And then on the way back, not on the way back, but the next is we take the value from local storage. Or actually, here we go. And we map it to the page. All right. So so this is how they show products. That's how it works. All right. Now, when we click on an item, let's click on an item here. Let's test this run. So when I click on an item, I save the selected item into local storage. So if I click, right, and then I take the information from local storage and map it to the PayPal API. Now, before I do that, I need to authenticate, right? So I need to tell PayPal API, hey, this is a sort of valid API call. So how do I do that? Well, when I load this page, I do PayPal authentication. All right, so I do PayPal authentication. And what it does is that it invokes, let's see here, PayPal. It invokes a server-side script that I created. And now the URL actually, now because this is coming from a plugin, so all the settings are here. Right, so you'll be doing all the settings here. You set the PayPal, I think this is preset, but you set the return page, you set the cancel page, and then you enter the script URL right here. So when you build your own script, obviously your URL will be different. And then you set the database ID. Okay, now let's look at the server script and what it does. All right. Okay, so I'm getting some values here from the request. I get a database, the URL, right? And then what happens next is that I already encoded the client and the secret value, right? And those values are coming from PayPal. Let me go to PayPal. So this is the developer. I have to log in. All right. So this is my app, and right here, this is the client ID and the secret. So I encoded them in base 64, right? These values. But in general, you wanna these are just obviously just test values, but again, you want to keep them secret. And even the encoded value, you want to keep it secret as well. That's why you want to keep it on the server, right? So you don't want to keep it on the client, so it's not available. All right. Now, next we're going to do a request to PayPal, and we're going to get a token that's alive for 8 hours, right? So we can use the same token for 8 hours, and then once the token expires, we need to request a new token. And this particular token we also want to store in the database, right, or on the server. So it's not available on the client, because if someone gets access to your token, they could in theory make requests on your behalf. Okay. So what we do next is we actually make a query to a database, right? And we're saying, well, let's see if a token is available, meaning if you already ran this app or not, right? And we're checking if the token is available. We're then checking the time, right? The token might be there, but maybe it expired. Maybe it's over 8 hours. Now, basically, we're checking that, and then if the token has expired or there is no token at all, we make a request to PayPal asking for a new token, right? Now, once we get a new token, we save it into a database. And again, every time we run this, we're going to check in the database. Token is there. Is it alive? Perfect. Let's use it. All right. And this is basically what happens. So if I go to my database and I show you my, all right. So this is the token that I get from PayPal. And again, it's a very good idea to keep it on the server or in the database so no one has access to it. Okay. And you can see the last time was updated, right, by this value. You can go to full screen so we have more. All right. So this is the last time it was updated. Okay, so you can see this is a very, the plugin has a lot of features out of the box, right? It has the authentication. It has the feature where a token is saved into a database, and then we check the token. Obviously, you could request a new token each time. I mean, that's also sort of an option. But in general, right, you're giving a token for 8 hours, and you want to be able to reuse the token for those 8 hours, right? Now, once we get a token, let's go back here. We invoke create payment. And so this is the service that creates the payment object on PayPal, right? It's an API call to PayPal. And the request, you can see, it's actually there are a lot of stuff here that PayPal expects, right? There is return URL, cancel URL, payment methods. So for example, we're using PayPal. You could also set it to credit card. And then there is a transaction object, which has a lot of information about the transaction. But in particular, it has an item list. And this is where you list the products that the user is buying. So for example, quantity, in my case, quantity is set to 1, but you can have an option for the customer to select how many items they want. There is a name, price, and then currency is also set to US dollars by default. Now, the name and the price, these are mapped from the page, right? That's based on the selection that I make. But you can see there's a lot of stuff, and again, a lot of options, different ways you can customize this. So basically, once we create this object, right, we then open the PayPal login screen. And that's what, let's run this again. Now, before we do that, let me just show you one more thing here. This is where we use the token, right? This is the authorization, it's a header, and this is where the token is being used. Now, how do we read the token? So this is actually, obviously, this is a client-side invocation. How do we get the token? Well, we use a secure proxy, right? So this is how the kind of the database and the proxy, they are tied together via the secure proxy. When the app is running, we're going to see the token here, right? It's a placeholder. And then we're going to see, well, it's using a secure proxy. We probably need to get the value from the database. And if I go to the database, right, it's right here. So there is a token and then the value. The actual secure proxy is defined. So if I go to my proxy, I've got a proxy, and then I say use proxy plus store sensitive data in a database. And this is where I map. So I say this is a PayPal database, this is the collection, and this is the key column and the key value. All right, and again, it's going to look for the token as the key, right? That's the value in the column. So this is very secure, again, because no sensitive information is ever revealed on the client, which is obviously a good thing, right? So let's run this again. All right, so we authenticated, right? We check for the token because I ran the app. I'm reusing the same token. I loaded the values from a database, right? Now when I click, all right, and you can see the information here. So this is where I created that object, right? That create payment, and now I have to log in. Let's set. Right now, just to show you, if I cancel, right, I can go cancel. This is the cancel URL. Actually, I'm back in the app, but you can of course have a different cancel page or handle this error. So let's go and buy a Tesla again. All right, so this is what we have. Oops, let me just go back 1 second here. Something is, let me relaunch the app 1 second. Tesla. All right, and we can now click continue. Right, and we can see that this was approved, and this is the name, right, and this is the amount. All right. So this app also works when you as a hybrid, and there's nothing for you really to do. It will just work out of the box. And let me show you. I'm going to use the Operator.io tester to show you the app. So give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. I will share my screen with you. Oh. doesn't want to connect. Let's try this again.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Just sometimes takes. Sometimes you have to do it twice. Anyhow, so this is the app, right? So this is the app.io tester app that I mentioned at the beginning, which again allows you to test native. This is running a hybrid app, and of course it allows you to test sorry, I rotated the iPad. And then we want to reload, right? So this is, I ran this before, but we want to reload this actually. And this is the app. All right, and so you can see if we buy. All right, so you can see that, I mean, it works the same way, and then you can look at details. You can look at the information, and then you log in, and it's basically the same flow, but obviously this is now running on an iPad. This is iPad mini. All right, so this is pretty nice. That and then if we cancel, let's cancel. Yeah, so we're back to the seller website, and here we go. All right, so this is again nice, and again this is coming from a plugin. What I did is that let me stop sharing. What I did is I created the products page with the list of products. The plugin has just you actually enter the amount. It has just one amount, right? And you just click buy, right? So this is how the plugin. But of course, the idea of a plugin is to give you kind of a core functionality, and then for you to make changes and so on. So again, I created this this products page that lists the stuff from a database. Right, and that's pretty much all I wanted to show. Now, again, PayPal offers, there are a lot of other APIs that you can get. Let's go to documentation quickly. And so I use the payments, right? And I did the payment, except PayPal. This is the one that I use. Of course, there's a lot of other stuff. You can credit cards, you can capture payments later, you can refund the payment. But the key is that obviously you have to authenticate, and that's available in the plugin. And from there, you can just use whatever API PayPal provides to add the capability that you guys need. All right. And I think that's it. Another thing I want to mention is that, again, there are a couple of things we're using in this app, right? So we use the server code, right, for secure authentication. We use the secure proxy, and we use the database for our products. All right, so let's go back here. Right, so we covered what you guys see here and other features as well.
Okay. Thanks, Max. Thanks for that demo. We'll give people a chance to post questions now. And while we're doing that, we'll multitask. I'll also tell you about our next webinar, which is titled something very simple: New in Appri.io. We'll be pushing out a new release on this Sunday. So we wanted to have a webinar where we just go over the new features that are in there. And two key features that I can tell you about are there's what we call API Express that used to be called, it's kind of a version of Enterprise Integration Server that Max was talking about in that diagram. What it involves is the functionality where you take an existing, let's say, a SQL query and turn it into a REST service to be consumed by an app. So the idea is that with the same platform, Appri.io, you can cover both ends, the consuming and the producing of APIs. Now, and then another interesting feature is that we've added that's important is offline syncing. We've gotten that worked out so that if you have an app where, let's say, you have a field service agent who's fixing something somewhere, and they're not always going to be connected. Sometimes there's neither phone service nor Wi-Fi. So you need to have the capability to run the app, to once it reconnects, to synchronize, and so on and so forth. And there are lots of other things in there too. I mean, we'll be announcing it as we roll out the release. And this webinar which is 2 Wednesdays from now, will be an opportunity to hear about these new features, to have Max walk you through them, and ask any questions you might have about the latest release. So there's the date and the time. It's on Plancast. We use Plancast to publish both events that we are doing, but also events that we're going to. I mean, if you're interested in mobile app development, you might be interested in the same things that we're interested in. So it's a good thing to check out to see what we're up to, both in terms of doing events and going to events. So so I'm going to get it onto this last slide. This has the contact info for us. It has the one-stop shopping for docs, tutorials, and videos. One-stop shopping link. We always like people to connect with us. It makes us happy, whether through Twitter or Facebook. And one more time, there's our Plancast for you to check on our events. So, Max, are you ready for some questions?
Yes.
Okay. One guy asks, can you upload an image into the product database and then map it to the background of a jQuery mobile list component?
Yeah, of course. You can definitely upload an image. You can show an image. So the answer is yes.
Okay, that's good enough. For the PayPal payment gateway, is the link that you were showing opened into a native web view? So headers and footers are included?
Correct. Yeah, it opens a web view.
Oh, you're on a roll with these simple answers to questions, Max. Can't you expand on that at all? You could talk about something. I don't know. Where does one put in the API parameters for PayPal refunds, etc.? This person wants to know if you could provide kind of a step-by-step screen share. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically if you look at the let's see, refund payments, right? So, I mean, this is basically you just kind of read and see how it works, right? So this is the command to do a refund, and this is a transaction ID. I mean, we can just look at it. Yeah, it's a sale ID, right? So you basically give a sale ID, right? You have to, obviously, you're refunding something that someone paid for. So once you have a sale ID, you just make a request to this URL. You provide, again, the authentication, the access token, and it will be refunded. So, and I mean, all other APIs work exactly the same way. I mean, there's some information you'll need. So that's basically how it works. So it's very simple.
Oh, here's a question. Are there any, after showing us how to set up a shopping cart using this plugin today, are there any new features that are going to appear in the near future that would change that would improve this process of setting up a shopping cart?
Well, I mean, it's sort of if you're asking about new features as a platform, yes. I mean, we're actually going to be adding pushing out new stuff actually next week. That has to do more with support for Ionic framework and some other things. As for the actual plugin, we're probably going to make some changes to the plugin to make it even simpler to use. But I mean, with the plugin, you're like 90% done, at least with simple payments, right? Obviously, we can have a plugin that does everything that your specific app requires, but you can get up and running with payments probably under an hour, I would say.
Okay. I don't think everyone knows what Iconic is. Could you explain just briefly what the significance is of
Ionic is a framework, and you can guys just, if you do Ionic, Google Ionic, you'll find. I mean, you'll get to their site. It's a framework that uses HTML, JavaScript, specifically for building hybrid apps.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's based on AngularJS. So it's a very, very popular framework. It's a very good framework for building, and again, specifically for building hybrid apps.
Okay. Oh, here's a question. In the body of the PayPal request, you mentioned some customization that can be done. Can you change and demo the payment default to credit card versus, you'd like to see changing the payment default to credit card versus PayPal login? Or is that easy to do?
Yeah, it's all you basically need to do is, if you looking at the APIs, you just pair the payment method that says PayPal, And then for credit cards, you would switch it to, say, credit card, right? And you do need to provide a little bit more information. You need to provide the credit card now. Yeah, it's just looking at this API call and making changes to the make payment method service.
Okay. Here's a question about do we have any improvements slated in the builder to make the process more streamlined? Are there any changes in the authing to make it even more streamlined to produce pages, to make them easy to modify?
I guess it would be good. I mean, what specific changes?
That's a general question. I don't really mention a specific issue.
I mean, we're always making small improvements. It would be kind of a good maybe to know what specific changes you guys would like to see.
Well, here, if you go back to that page in the deck, it has the contact info. So if something occurs to you later, or if you want to zero in on something even more, just I'm up there. I'm there first, but really Max should be first. I'm working more in marketing. So if you have a really technical question, Max is the guy you want to ask. He's been involved in the whole product from the very beginning, and he knows all the ins and outs. But he needs more specific information to work from. Here's a question that's something about the database services being created. Don't we have a new product to expedite that? What is that? Something Express? App Express? Are you familiar with that? I'm not sure if it's connected completely with this, but.
So yeah, we have what's called App Creator Express.
Oh, App Creator. Okay.
Yeah, so that allows you to actually build a complete app, like a CRUD app. But to generate the services, the service that you can just go to create new database services, and you can generate the service from here.
Oh,
so if I select PayPal, and then so I already created the list service, but you can instantly generate other services as well.
Okay. Oh, and here's a general question. Do you know, this is, even though it's kind of a marketing thing, it's more something you would know about. Are there any plans to have any kind of formalized training course for Appri? Because the person brings up a good point, which is that we cover the full spectrum of different skill levels, but we do have a lot of people who are relatively new to programming. Are there any plans for any kind of formalized training for people? I mean, we have a lot of videos.
Yeah,
I know that, but I think he's talking about more like a class or something.
It's something we thought about, but and something we probably want to do in the future. We just don't have any kind of we don't have a date set to have a kind of a formal training course.
So we just need people to continue to suggest it, and then that.
Well, I mean, in general, because I mean, this is not. I mean, the technology that Appri.io uses under the hood is not something new. I mean, it's HTML, JavaScript, CSS. So if you're kind of looking to get, more education on this, I mean, any resource out there that covers, HTML, JavaScript, or mobile development, is definitely a good starting point.
Yeah.
I mean, all Appri.io, really one of the core values in Appri.io is to make building apps faster, right? I mean, that's. But the technology is basically just standard stuff. As I mentioned, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, jQuery, mobile, Bootstrap, and Ionic. So the actual technology under the hood is not new or proprietary to us in any way.
Do we have a list anywhere where we just recommend certain resources to people?
Not specifically for kind of HTML, because there are just so many different resources. I mean, and all of them are good.
Okay.
But so.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that'll be a wrap for today. Oh, one more. Okay. I'm only going to take two more questions because they just popped in, and then we're going to close everything down. Is there ever going to be? This is kind of a broad question. Is there ever going to be changes in Appri.io to make it more suitable for game development, or is that just a niche that we're just not going to deal with?
Yeah, probably not. It's not. Yeah. we position the platform for building, business apps, kind of data-driven apps, content. So games is just something else.
It's a whole other area. Yeah. Now there are predefined collections in the database. This person is asking about access to those predefined collections. Do you have access to them?
Yeah, of course. You have access to all the collections in your database. And we actually, there's a video there's a template actually, I'm sorry, that uses those, you can use those collections. So when you, I have to actually exit.
Okay.
We have a template. If you go from example, if you use this template, and you will actually, those collections are used. The login, the user, the login, logout.
Oh, okay. And there's no special for pointers or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. These are not even collections. I'm sorry. These are REST services that will be generated.
Oh, okay.
The collect
something else. Yeah.
Yeah. For the user management, this is the collection that's being used. Now this is for files. This is for uploading files, and then devices using in together with push.
So when you access it, here, just click on one and it'll see.
Yeah, I don't think I have any users.
Oh, you're already in users. Yeah, I think the person who has the question about this, I think you should just why don't you just send a message directly to Max. Here, put that deck up, and then not sure if you're answering his question or he thinks. So just get Max at appri.io and just ask him. Max likes getting emails from people asking about appri.io. To thank everyone for attending. We really appreciate you taking time to attend this.